Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you keep a saltwater tank, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. You walk up to your glass box, and something is just wrong. The corals are totally closed up, your fish are hiding in the rockwork, or maybe this sudden massive algae bloom just appeared out of nowhere. That wave of panic hits you instantly because it feels like your entire reef is crashing and you need to fix it right now. Well, take a deep breath. Today, we're exploring some fantastic source material that maps out a highly structured, evidence-based approach to get your tank back on track without making things worse.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? What's the absolute fastest way to fix a crashing saltwater tank? When things go sideways in our tanks, human nature literally screams at us to start panic pouring every single chemical, buffer, and supplement we have stuffed in the cabinet. But treating a tank that way, it's like throwing darts in the dark. Instead, the source material suggests we need to think a lot more like an emergency room doctor using a strict triage approach, identifying what's genuinely out of range, understanding the underlying effects, and making very targeted adjustments.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because before we can even think about buying expensive fixes or dumping emergency treatments into our water, we have to trust our testing process. If your test results are wrong, your fixes are going to be wrong. It's really that simple. As the source material points out, having the fanciest, most expensive testing kit on the market means absolutely nothing if your technique is sloppy. Consistency is your absolute greatest asset here.
To get your tank perfectly stable, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll verify your testing inputs. Second, look at the parameter priority order. Third, diagnose common water issues. Fourth, make safe corrections without swings. And finally, go over the test and act workflow. All right, starting with Section 1, verify your testing inputs. This is your pre-triage checklist. Just like a surgeon wouldn't operate with unsterilized tools, the source reminds us we really can't play doctor with our reef without calibrating first. First up, make sure you're using fresh reagents. Expired chemicals will absolutely lie to you. Make sure to thoroughly rinse your sample containers, or honestly, better yet, just use clean disposable cups to completely prevent cross-contamination. Always record the exact water temperature because this can wildly affect certain readings, especially salinity. And finally, if you're using digital meters, confirm their calibration. Running through this quick checklist ensures that the problem is actually in your tank and not just some wild measurement error.
Moving on to Section 2, the parameter priority order. Think of this as your triage hierarchy.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this hierarchy actually stops us from making the most common mistake in reef keeping, chasing the wrong numbers. Notice priority level 1, ammonia and nitrite. These are extremely urgent. Listen, if your system can't process basic waste, adding calcium or magnesium supplements for your corals way down there at level 5 is completely useless. You fix the toxic threats first, then you establish the salinity baseline, then you stabilize your alkalinity and pH, move on to your chronic nutrients like nitrate, and only then do you fine-tune the growth elements.
Let's look a little closer at that urgent priority level. If you detect ammonia or nitrite, the source highlights that your biofilter is actively failing. We all kind of know what the biofilter does, but common triggers for a crash here often catch us completely off guard. Things like overfeeding, a simple power outage, or changing your filter media way too aggressively. The fast fix here isn't adding chemicals, it's removing stressors. Stop feeding heavily, vastly improve the water oxygenation and flow, and ensure that biological activity has the space to recover and process that waste.
Okay, Section 3, diagnosing common water issues. It's time to read the vitals. Let's compare the two heavy hitters of nutrient issues, nitrate and phosphate. If your nitrate is high, it's basically a simple balance issue. You either have insufficient export, meaning your protein skimmer or algae scrubber just isn't keeping up, or you have way too much input from heavy feeding. Phosphate, on the other hand, can be a lot sneakier. It can definitely be introduced through foods, but it can also actively leach out from your rocks and sand, almost like your tank is playing a practical joke on you. To fix these fast, you've got to combine reduced feeding with consistent, increased export, but a quick heads up, be careful with phosphate, it can rebound super quickly, so you need a steady export plan rather than an abrupt overcorrection.
The source material maps out the chemistry side of the equation beautifully here. If you're seeing alkalinity swings, it usually means the carbonate consumption in your tank is outpacing your dosing regimen, or your testing is just unstable. If calcium or magnesium is low, it typically means your stony corals and calcifying organisms are growing so fast they're literally stripping the water of these elements. But remember our priority list. You absolutely must address magnesium first. Magnesium is the anchor. If it's too low,
Section 4, safe corrections without swings. Let's look at the treatment plan.
So the crucial point is that the fastest, safe corrections are actually the ones that do not shock the tank. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive. When you want a fast fix, that urge to just dump a solution in and see results in 5 minutes is so incredibly strong. But in a delicate saltwater ecosystem, speed kills. Stability always trumps speed.
To safely implement corrections, you really must follow these rules. Make small, calculated adjustments, wait for the water to fully mix and for the biology of the tank to actually respond before you do anything else. And please, avoid chasing test kit resolution. What does that mean? Well, it means if your kit has a tiny, totally normal measurement variation from one day to the next, don't dump chemicals in to perfectly align a microdecimal. You'll drive yourself crazy and severely stress the corals. Also, if you need to adjust salinity, do it slowly, using properly mixed salt water that perfectly matches the temperature of your display tank. Gradual reduction and careful monitoring are your absolute best friends here.
And finally, Section 5, the Test and Act Workflow, your daily recovery routine.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a highly practical same-day response loop based on the research. Step 1. Record your baseline results, always starting with temperature and salinity. Step 2. Check for ammonia and nitrite first. Remember our triage pyramid? Treat them as an absolute emergency if detected. Step 3. Confirm and slowly correct your salinity if it's off. Step 4. Adjust one major lever at a time. It is so tempting, but please do not try to fix alkalinity, calcium, and nutrients all on the same afternoon. Adjust one, let it mix, and retest. Step 5. Repeat this loop on a set schedule. By isolating one variable at a time, you actually achieve the true fast fix because you know exactly what cause created what effect.
Of course, sometimes you just need to know when to hit the brakes. If your numbers are changing wildly between tests, stop dosing. The issue is almost certainly your testing technique or incomplete mixing. If you've done the basics but ammonia still persists, your biofilter is severely inhibited or maybe just unestablished. If you hit this wall, do not resort to random dosing out of frustration. Stop guessing. At that point, getting structured, professional troubleshooting or a consultation is going to be infinitely faster and way safer than pouring random bottles of Quick Fix into your delicate ecosystem.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to consider the next time you open up that aquarium cabinet. Are you fixing the actual root cause of your tank's distress, or are you just chasing numbers on a color chart? Remember, a priority-based, steady plan is the true secret to turning confusing test results into perfectly clear action, allowing your fish and corals the stable environment they need to recover and thrive. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.